Hello again, beer fans. Been a while since I've done a beer review, so I decided to, when the Black Crown came out and was getting some publicity, to review it since I've reviewed pretty much every other Budweiser offering. Now, in my mind, this is kind of replacing the American Ale, which I reviewed earlier. If you don't know what that was, you can find it. And that was one that evidently didn't find its niche. It was kind of I thought a pretty decently tasting beer. At a reasonable price point. I kind of liked it, would have it occasionally. It was at the Yuengling price point. It was a little different, a little hot, sweeter, but kind of similar quality. Maybe not quite as good, but, similar. But for whatever reason, that didn't really take off. And we talked when Bud Light Platinum came in about whether or not it would find a place in the market, and it apparently has. And so I think there were two lessons from that there's a market for slightly better tasting, higher alcohol beer at the same price point, at the $6 for 6-pack price point. And so Budweiser has kind of, they did a voting. I don't know if it was real or not. But they've kind of taken that lesson and they've applied it to kind of their lager now. And what we have here is a slightly fuller, richer beer at a higher ABV. A close ABV. And again, for the same price. The key. So, if we look at this beer, you see it's going to be darker. Head retention is going to be a little better than we're used to with Budweiser. It's, not spectacular, but it's decent looking beer. Smell is kind of citrus. It's very faint. And then when we taste, hard to describe. Very much, this is very much framed as Bud, as we could call this Big Bud. So there's a little more going on here. But no flavor really comes out distinctively. It's hard to break it down. It's more hoppy, you can tell that. It's richer. It's impressive that they've clearly used more ingredients, but kept it on the same price point. And but other than that, it tastes very much in the flavor of Bud, which is but better, and with more kick to it as well, which is not a thing. It's interesting that they actually have refocused, and I'll let you see it actually if you want to. Here's the bottle. Sorry, here's the bottle, and I'm hoping you can see that they really are focusing on this beechwood finished. Now my understanding is the beechwood chips that Budweiser use just allow them to speed up the processing. That they had no flavor, but regardless, they're emphasizing that, and maybe that's a way of almost kind of tying this a little bit closer to Budweiser. Although in other ways, it's a bit strange how they're marketing this. For instance, you wonder if they'd already settled on the bottle before they did the poll. And maybe the poll was a legit poll. Because the Black Crown almost suggests they were expecting a black beer to win. And if I recall correctly, they certainly had some black beers in the pack. which I saw, but the pack was a little high. And so you almost wonder if, I mean, I don't know, it could be they just like the label, but they may have already selected the label and how they were going to market it before they actually selected the beer, and then they were surprised that this won. I think it's a very, again, kind of, this is not an exceptional beer. It's okay. It's worth drinking, worth trying. If they keep it at the same price as Budweiser, it's a better option there. I don't know. I've really debated at that point whether you would go with that or Bud Light Platinum to save the calorie, or Yuengling Light Lager, because it's a lot of calories you get in these beers for the extra flavor you get with a regular one, if you're not just going to pay a few dollars extra and get an actually really good tasting beer. I don't know. It's an open question, I think. Regardless, this goes down fairly smooth, although it's got a little more bite than you'd want for a chugger. But you can kind of quaff it, and I've been kind of going throughout the day, kind of drinking it, and it goes down pretty good. So it's a better option at that point. Again, the issue I think Budweiser's running into, and I think it ran into with the American Ale as well, is that the market is kind of dichotomizing into light beer, which is the dominant beer, and more craft beer. And, they've been trying to hit that sweet spot. And as far as Anheuser-Busch goes, or AB InBev goes, I should say, they've hit it. They've had some success hitting that sweet spot of a cheaper alternative to craft brews. Take Michelob Amber Bock. Not a great beer. But decent for its price point. And so, this may find a place, although the American Ale didn't. Which actually I liked better, the American Ale. But, this is not offensive. But it's not distinctive. It's very kind of homogeneous. Nothing kind of jumps out at you. Goes down well. Reasonable. We'll see if it finds the sweet spot the Bud Light Platinum did, or if it's just going to be really hard to find that sweet spot in the non-light, non-craft beer category. Because right now, that's kind of the declining part, and I think that was the problem the American Ale ran into, is that's the declining part of the marketplace. And while the beer was, I think, similar quality to Yuengling, it doesn't have that kind of character that Yuengling does, that I think has delivered brand loyalty. But maybe this will find that sweet spot. Don't know. Anyway, that's all I got. See ya.